So welcome everybody to 2024. From FitPro headquarters, we wish you an absolutely fabulously wonderful 2024. We hope it's prosperous, we hope it's peaceful, and of course we hope it's successful in any which way that may take its form. My name is Jane Waller, I'm a director at FitPro, and I'm hosting this webcast today with the wonderful Annette Lang. So welcome Annette, and thank you so much for giving your time today just to chat to us about some wonderful messaging and inspiration. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year, and thank you so much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Actually, one of the things I was going to say, Annette, do you set yourself New Year's resolutions? Do you believe in them? Do they work?
That's such a loaded question, right? In our industry, fitness, that's a big event, New Year's resolutions. With my studies of behavior change, I found that it's really important. So yes, I do believe in New Year's resolutions, but I also think that it's a marker, right? Just like my birthday is a marker and other events in the year. What I try to encourage people to focus on is what's the behavior that you're going to do. You know, the classic, I want to lose 10 pounds. You don't magically wake up and be 10 pounds later. So with the New Year's resolutions, it's crucial to be very specific in how you're going to take the steps to get there. And then, yes, I think they're very positive, or they can be.
I agree. I set myself one in January of last year. I wanted to do learning. I wanted 2023 to be a year of learning for me. And I said, look, one of the learning experiences I want to have was something that was completely personal for me, something I've always wanted to do. So I actually did a course on ancient Egyptology, which was completely crazy and completely out there. And it was absolutely one of the best things I've ever done. And it took me completely out of my comfort zone, and it was fantastic. So yeah, I think if you set your mind to it, it can be a great thing, personally and professionally. But anyway, let's find out a little bit about Annette Lang. Obviously, many of you will know Annette because she was a regular presenter at our FitPro events and Master of the Minds, or Meeting of the Minds, sorry, Master as well. Annette's been in the industry for quite a while, actually, about 40 years, and she started in sales and management. With a master's in health education, she has also moved into health education and personal training. Has a very successful personal training business, but has taken her education, her messaging across the world, presenting at many, many events around the world. And as I said, many of you will know Annette and have more than likely been impacted by her wonderful sessions. I certainly have. So I am delighted to have Annette here with us today to share some of her insight and some of her secrets. So Annette, again, welcome and thank you. And is there anything I missed out that you'd like to add?
No, that was brilliant. Makes me feel
it's well deserved. So, okay, my first question is, if you were to go back and talk to the Annette Lang that was joining the industry 40 years ago, you went into sales and management, but then you moved into health education and PT. So there was a movement there. You moved, you transitioned. What would be your top tips that you would give that young Annette Lang about how to move into this industry, how to keep your sanity, and how to be successful?
Yeah, I would start with a positive for me. Positive was listen to your gut, listen to that little voice inside of you that says, I want to try this, I want to make this change, because I was on track to be a university professor teaching German. Because when I was growing up, there was no options for what I thought I wanted to do in this profession, because it wasn't a profession, you know. So like I knew that movement and exercise helped me with my body image, my positive self-esteem, and made me feel better about me as a person. I was like, so how do I bring that to other people? I didn't want to be a physiotherapist or a doctor. So anyway, long story short, I got a scholarship to go study in Germany, and they had socialized medicine. You know, it was a very active effort in helping you help yourself be healthy and well and fit. And I was like, that's what I want to do, is motivate the average person to be fit. Walked into the university, said, thank you for sending me over there. I'm going to walk into this health club where I know nothing about it, but I'm going to see if I can get a job. And it was a Nautilus facility. Joe Cerulean, Gainesville, hugely popular. So anyway, listen to your gut, listen, because you know what? You can fail at something that sucks and that you hate, right? But you feel like you're supposed to do this. So
Yeah.
why not try something
Yeah.
that you really love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so um, I would say another important thing that we need to teach actually young people is how to run your life business wise,
Mm.
right? How do you manage your money? Like, because through the years, Jane, I've seen so many trainers, here in the States, right? Are you an employee at the health club? Or are you an independent contractor? I call it pounding the pavement and going from one location to the other to see your client. And at workshops, trainers say, oh, you're so lucky you do privates, you get to keep all the money. I'm like, listen, let's talk for 15 minutes. You have to realize when you walk into that health club, somebody's paid for those lights to go on, the machines to be there. And by the way, you get free advertising, free marketing. So helping trainers understand what does it cost to be an independent contractor versus being an employee of a health club with the benefits that you potentially get. So financial education. And on a subset of that, my husband and I talk about this a lot, is start an index fund. Pick a company where you can put a little bit of money every month and have your money grow as a young professional. So financial literacy, I think, is huge.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm sorry to interrupt there, but we run a lot of we have a lot of online education programs on our platform, and the ones that are constantly popular, programming, and the ones that are there that are brilliant that people just won't spend their time and money on is finance, marketing, how to run a business, and it is a business. It is a business. Whether you're in group fitness, whether you're in PT, whether you're in sport coaching, it's a business, and that's an important skill set. So yeah, it's a great point, and one that obviously you would have said to yourself as a young girl, and you've taken note of that.
Yeah. Um, Another one is, I would say, I, I sort of did some of this by accident, diversify on purpose. I was working in sales. They said, I wanted to learn more. So got my degree in health education. Then I started as a personal trainer. And I accidentally got introduced to new vision, new visionaries. Like I was working in Gainesville and they said, we're going to do this STEP program. I was like, STEP? Who's going to come in and take a STEP class? Well, fast forward, I worked with Reebok University, met Jim Miller. Like, oh, just a visionary. Worked with Bob Square. He's been so helpful to me throughout my career, introduced me to different people. Met Richard Boyd and was one of the first people on their crew for PT on the net. I'm always like, I'm such a loner, but like to be involved with other people is so beneficial. The group at Reebok was unbelievable, and then meeting Gray Cook before he was FMS Gray Cook. So my point is, explore opportunities to where you can diversify and collaborate with other people. And by diversification, I was very fortunate to be able to be a teacher and a trainer. And I didn't really plan that, but that's again, like what are other ways that you can have a revenue stream if this isn't going so well or this is going better? So look for the opportunities, and I have to force myself to collaborate with other people, Jane. I can get on stage at a conference with 200 people and be totally comfortable, but I'll be at a conference with my badge on as a speaker, and I walk into an elevator, I'm like, hi. It's like that introvert, extrovert balance. So like make yourself be part of that if possible, and then try to diversify your efforts.
Yeah.
And you asked for 5, right?
If
Oh,
you
okay.
you have 5.
Well, you mentioned 5. I was just in saying that I wanted to talk to you how to think of stuff, but and John Hardy was the first person who put it eloquently for me in a long time, was rule the tool. So okay, we worked on designing the programming for Reebok Core Board. Oh, does that mean every workout of yours is on the Reebok Core Board, Annette? And I said, no, it's a tool, right? And I think that goes into the whole thing of, the experience stuff that I talk about.
Mm.
It's not a product that you're picking up. It's this human being in front of you. And yeah, we use things to make it more enjoyable or successful, but it's not the thing.
Mm.
It's this person
Yeah.
is the focus.
Yeah. 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 It's as you say, it's almost diversifying in another way, isn't it? Because it's just, you have that one constant, which is the person, but then you have these other parameters, other tools, which can, alter the experience. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit further on.
Right, right. But
So,
I think, just
sorry, go on.
go ahead.
I was going to say, so those are all really impactful, and I think some of the, there will be more things that come out of it throughout our chat today. But do you think about your success in the industry has been about you constantly reinventing yourself, constantly looking for something special that will make you stand apart from other people, put you on a platform, and that's been the reason for your success? Or would you say that it's being aware of change, staying up with change, or even being ahead of change? Like, what do you think are the important things there for, for the PT that is working, hard and fast in an industry?
Do you reinvent yourself, or do you try to keep up with the changes? I would say yes. Like a gentle massaging of both, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
maybe not reinvent oneself, but to be open to tweaking and regressing, progressing. One thing that sticks out in my mind that you bring this up is one time at a Christmas party, my niece said to me, "So Annette, what's new? What's the next project? What's up for you next?" And I said, "You know what? Why can't I just have a job?
Yeah.
Like I'm teaching, I'm busy, I have my clients. Why do I have to have something new, something special?" And she goes, "Because that's what you've always done." And I think, is it because of this entrepreneurial type of business that we're in, the fitness professional? Like we're supposed to always have the new product, the new thing. But then I think, you know what, Jane? Somebody has to be the person pushing it forward. So maybe it's not me as the person, but then I look to other trends and see what does that mean to me, and how do I learn from this? My husband and I heard an interview about some big popular sneaker company. Their numbers are not doing well. I mean, how can they be not doing well? Because they haven't kept up with innovation, with influencers, with new trends. So I think it's a combination of the two, you know, being aware of what's going on. I've never been a visionary, but be aware and be open and try new things. It does, if that makes sense.
It's relative, isn't it? I mean, what would be, staying up with change and affecting change in one environment, like the middle of London, is going to be very, very different to what a fitness professional is going to have to deliver in, in the far corners of the country, where there are very different demands and different requirements. So it is about being, I presume, about being very aware of your environment and what is happening within that environment as well, isn't it? And then just and really capitalizing on it. I mean, we've always said in the industry, no one owns a move. It's someone does a grapevine, someone else does a grapevine, no one owns it, but you can make it look better, look different, look more fun.
Exactly.
So
it's like, COVID was a good example of that too, right? We all had to learn, how do I now do a remote one-on-one personal training session? How do I deliver a webinar with people, that are all over the country, for example? And that's just, so you, I hate the word pivot, but you pivot, but then you got to keep up, right? Zoom mistakes are funny at first, but after a while, people are like, "Come on, man, haven't you figured out?" We're constantly trying to keep up. And what you said before was so important too. What's applicable for the person in the middle of London is not the same as what the person in little teeny tiny town somewhere might desire or need or want.
Yeah.
And that's where we constantly have to change and adapt. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to move on to the reason why you have made such an impact on my life. So I first heard you speak about 10 years ago, and it was actually at one of our events. And your session was about, creating an experience. And you spoke about many scenarios, about the sports car, about, various things. And what I took away from that, and still to this day will use in some of the decisions I make in my life, is that it's about creating an experience. And so, you used the example, I believe, about, hiring a car, and there was the sports car with the roof could come down, and then there was the very conservative, very sensible, very economical, little Fiat or whatever it may have been. But in choosing the sports car in that situation, it was about creating an experience. And in my life today, I might have a situation where, I could do that, and that's a sensible decision. I could do that, and okay, it might be a little this, it might be a little that, but I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life, and I'm going to take those memories with me. And 9 times out of 10, I would choose the experience, and I never regret it. So that was quite mind-blowing to me, sort of 10 years ago, because I'd never heard anybody talk about that before, and it certainly had never impacted me in that way. 10 years on, though, we do hear people talking about that more and more. And I think people, as you talk about behavior change, it's what tools can we use to make people actually really change. So 10 years on, are we much better at creating an experience? And what are some of the takeaways from that you've seen over the years that we've got better at, if we have?
Right. Are you sure you haven't been? No. I was always like with the health behavior education, the health education, I was very influenced by the fact that, it's not just telling somebody what to do. You have to learn how to ask questions. And that's where this whole thing of like, oh, the personal training thing is not just the program, it's me, it's everything about it. And then I met my now husband, who actually teaches in this concept, and it blew me away when I would see these students talk about the experience of a chair and how you feel about sitting in a chair, or why one glass is different than another glass, and there's thought. And I started obviously applying this to my own, profession and my own way of thinking, design thinking. So it's not an afterthought, right? So I make a program and then, oh crap, my client has a hard time getting down on his knees. Like, it's not an afterthought. It's got to be part of the whole evolution of what is happening in this 60-minute time period or whatever it is. And so have we gotten better at it? I think we've tried to get better at it. Even before COVID, I used to laugh. I go into a coffee place, pour my own coffee, pay for it, and on the receipt it says rate your experience. I'm like, okay, now you're just trying hard, Then it was wondering, like, is this all fake, And then with the pandemic, everybody had to change and learn, and everybody's life was so upended. And then with the influencers, and Instagram, now I wonder, is it fake? Like, I know people who left fitness, Jane, because they're so disillusioned with, oh, it's look at my beautiful body, pay me to look at my beautiful body. But what are we bringing to people? So I think we need to keep making an effort. I love listening to Bobby Cappuccio, like we really need to keep making. I always think of, like, design is not an afterthought. So it's not like you're in a store and like, oh, I'll take a little bit of the good butt and I'll take a little bit of ripped abs, like really making effort. And like I always think about this client of mine is waking up in the morning. How do they feel today? And the subtle changes we make in a workout that they don't even realize. Right. So when the client, you affect my life besides just the workout, I'm so flattered, but in my head, I'm going, I know. and I put a lot of work into it. So are we getting better? I think we have been getting better. And I think the pandemic sort of upended everything, and we need to pick ourselves up out of the dust and say, let's keep trying. Let's keep trying, because we all know, I mean, people need human interaction more than anything right now. You know, so
yeah. And I think too, you know, the general public are so much better informed now. They're so much better educated. And, you know, where once upon a time, you know, personal training, for example, maybe was quite new, and there was, you know, there wasn't, maybe there was competition, but, you know, you didn't maybe need to do anything completely out of the norm to, you know, to be successful. You still had to do everything, you know, right and be a professional. But now, you know, everybody wants a bit more from every experience, from, you know, going to the restaurant, from buying a car, whatever it may be. And our industry is no different. So, you know, I am hopeful that this messaging that you started 10 years ago or more is really starting to filter through and come through.
you know, you just said something really. Everybody wants a better experience, even from buying furniture or something. At first, I was like, oh, come on, isn't hours more important than going into a store and buying a piece of furniture? But I think you're right. A lot of people, especially, I think probably more the younger people, they'd rather experience something than have something, right? They want that interaction. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So, Verizon, we talked about what you would say to the young Annette Lang coming into this industry. A lot of people listening to this, and a lot of people that have met you in the past, you know, many years ago, you know, are still with us today. They've been in the industry 20, 30, 40 years. They're still incredibly passionate. They're still doing an amazing job. But what message would you have for them that would keep them inspired, keeps them, you know, striving for success and staying in this industry? Because you're absolutely right. You know, throughout the pandemic, definitely we lost, here in the UK, we lost so many group fitness instructors. We lost so many PTs to driving a van for Amazon, or, you know, another occupation that gave them stability, gave them paid holidays, gave them, you know, respect from, you know, the team around them. Whereas, you know, our industry was hurt a lot during that. So we have had a lot. However, still a lot of the fitness professionals that have been around a very long time are still there. They're still passionate. What would be your, on a sort of an ending note, what would be your words of wisdom to them?
Yeah, a tough question. And the people that I talk to that have been around for a long time, we sort of ask ourselves the same questions. And I think, not to sound corny, but it does always seem to bring me back to what is your true self, right? Like, what is the Annette Lang experience? Why would somebody want to spend their money and their time with me? You know, what would people say about me? And like, try to reignite or rekindle or refire up ourselves about why we're doing this and why we love it. And then maybe, like what you said, definitely keep trying to learn new venues, new ways to get in front of people. But I think it always comes back to me, like, who am I? Why did I do this from day one? And now, being however old anyone is next year, this year, what does that mean? Where do you want to be next year? When you wake up in the morning, where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing, right? And that's a lot of the foundational goal setting again, right? So find your, or not find, but enhance and embrace your profession, and see if there's tweaks that you can make to be happy for as long as you want to keep actively working. But I think the visualization, like, do I want to be this 80-year-old person on this block in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York? Or if not, then where am I going to be? You know, am I going to be doing classes on the beach, you
Yeah.
know, and then using that as a motivation
Yeah.
to tweak and achieve.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say it's been fabulous catching up with you. More pearls of wisdom for us to take away, as always. So thank you again for joining us, and wishing you a very, very, very happy and successful 2024. I'm sure it will be. And yeah, keep spreading your word, please, because it's an inspiration to many. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jane. Happy New Year.